Welcome to the Gorgeous Guru podcast. I'm your host, Day, the Gorgeous Guru. On this podcast, I'll be sharing candid commentary, practical advice, and intuitive insights on life, love, current events, and everything in between. If you're craving real talk, inspiration, and soulful guidance, you're in the right place. So tune in, get comfortable, and get ready to be inspired. Hey, y'all. Welcome in to another episode. I pray that as you're listening to this, you are well and in the best of spirits. Ashe. So I titled this episode, "The World is on Fire," because there's so much going on. And I want to talk about it. This is actually a Gorgeous Guru rant. This is an episode where I will share my rants about life and about current events and what's going on out in the world. The first thing I want to touch on today is the death of Mr. Charlie K. And I won't call his name out fully because as someone who channels the dead, I try to avoid calling the name of people so that I'm not pulling their energy towards me, okay? Just to be clear. So to be honest, y'all, I didn't even know who Charlie was until he got killed or assassinated. I had no clue who he was. And after that happened, I started seeing clips of him sharing some of his views. And I said, okay, I understand why I don't know who he is. I don't resonate with his beliefs, his rhetoric. He's not someone I would kind of look to for his opinion because I don't typically value divisive, extremist, or polarizing views. I made a decision some time ago not to enmesh myself in beliefs like that because I feel like doing so makes me part of the problem and actually serves a small group of people who run this whole thing and are running it horribly. I gotta be honest, I was proud of myself that I didn't know who he was. I was like, oh, okay. Once I heard some of the stuff he was saying, I said, oh yeah, of course I wouldn't know who he was. You know, I wouldn't know a person like that because I don't listen to that type of talk. And I don't care what side it's on. I'm not a conservative or a liberal, and I don't give a damn if you have these very extremist, polarizing views that put people at odds with each other. I don't want anything to do with you. Like, that's just how I am. So I'm watching the aftermath of his demise, of his death, and am immediately seeing how, again, it's being used to paint this picture of conservatives being crucified by liberals and we have to fight each other. You know, now the conservatives have to rise up against the liberals because we have to protect, our group. We have to protect our belief system. And I don't want any parts of it. I truly, truly don't. It's like I see the game and the game plays out again and again, whether it's Charlie, whether it's someone who dies at the hands of police brutality. There's always something coming up to pit us against one another. And every single time, the ignorant amongst us fall for the okie doke. It's time to wake up. If not now, when? So for me, honestly, y'all, my focus has been on protecting my peace as an empath, as a channeler of energy. It's very easy for me to kind of get wrapped up in things, right? And to feel them very heavily. And so my goal has been to really focus on keeping my energy steady and balanced in the midst of the world being on fire. As I scrolled through social media, I noticed the pages that were very focused on this story of Charlie's death. And so I unfollowed them. I started to spend less time online, less time scrolling. And I came up with things to do to focus on, to keep my mind off of it. So, well, not just that, but to keep my mind off of all of the trouble in the world, right? Because the internet has made it so that we're so connected. We have the world at our fingertips and we can readily access news from all around the world. unfortunately, a lot of this news is bad news, so it can really take a toll on you. So I knew I needed to take a break from scrolling, looking at the news, looking on social media. And I decided that I was going to focus on building out my meal plan for the coming days. I'm trying a new diet, trying to be more conscious of what I eat. So I sat down, came up with a meal plan, came up with a shopping list, right? And then went shopping to get the items. I'm going to be cooking more in the coming days because I notice cooking helps me to relax and takes my mind off of all of the heaviness. I also am watching the new series Alien Earth on Hulu. I am a big sci-fi fan, y'all. Sci-fi and horror are my two top genres, followed by like action. And I'm loving the series so much that it's making me want to go back and watch the entire Alien franchise from the beginning, including the Alien versus Predator movies. So that's one of the things I'm focusing on as well. So I have my meal planning, preparing certain meals, the Alien franchises, and then I'm finishing my summer reading list and some other personal projects I've been working on. So it's like finding ways to focus my energy, harness my own energy, and focus it correctly. Because there is a group, I believe, a small group of elites or whoever they are that are always looking for ways to harness our energy. They are energy vampires. And if we let them, they will never stop. It'll never stop. So that's been my focus these past few days. I want to move on to another topic. And I feel like the whole Charlie K issue or experience kind of leads into this one. So I've been coming across this movement online of childless women, right? Women who do not have children, who are making vows to keep it that way. And I came across something today where this woman was like, hey, I am committed to living a child-free life. And, my commitment to living this child-free life means that I'm going to be contributing to the demise of the human population. And she's like celebrating it. And I know it sounds extreme to some, but I've actually been feeling that way. As I've gotten older and have had to make peace with the prospect of not having children, I find myself being more grateful that I don't have children in this current climate. I don't have a lot of hope for the future, y'all. Unless we rise up as a people, I really feel like we're fucked. Things are going to continue going the way they're going. Perhaps AI will take over and begin to run things. And either way, it's a wrap for humanity. I don't have a lot of hope because I don't see people coming together. I see people very stuck on their beliefs and they're looking for saviors, which is why a person like Mr. Charlie K was so popular, why Mr. Donald Trump, and not just conservatives, honey, there's liberals too, where people look to them like they are gods and goddesses, and they are the saviors of our race, the human race. They are not. They are not. So now we have these groups of women coming together and saying, no more. I will not feed this toxic society. I will not feed this toxic narrative. I will not feed this small group of elites or whoever they are that are energy vampires and that use people for their own means and ends. Women are just saying no, which may be why the president is actually offering people payments to have children. They need us. They feed off of us. We keep their systems running. And until AI completely takes over and replaces us, they need us to keep their system going. We're human capital. And so women are opting out. And I get it. I remember talking to my cousin not too long ago and telling her my concerns about having children and how I'm leaning towards just not even bothering. And when I was explaining why, I used my life as an example. I've had some really great moments in life, but I've had some really shitty moments too. And I know a lot of you can relate to that. For certain groups of people, life can be very, very difficult, and it's like a constant battle just to meet your basic needs and to stay afloat and shit like that. Why would I bring a child here knowing that this is something they could experience? Now, the hope is they would experience better, but as a visionary, as someone who can see, I see the trajectory that society is taking, that the world is taking. I'm not going to ignore that and act like it's not happening and bring a child here thinking that the world will be better when they're adults or things will automatically be better for them. There's no guarantees. And for me, I just don't want to put a child in a situation when they're coming into such a disgusting experience. The earth is beautiful. I love Mother Earth, the natural beauties of life, but I do not like how people live here and the systems that have been put into place that are essentially oppressive to many of us. And I'm not talking about race or a particular race or anything like that. Many of us are oppressed by the system. Do I want to support the system by bringing another human being in that they can essentially oppress? No. So when I see these women celebrating, yeah, fuck the human population, let it drop. Why not? What are we doing here that's so great, y'all? Some of us are doing great things, but unfortunately, the ones who do the wickedness, they've put themselves into these positions of power where they have more control at this time. And maybe it'll shift. I don't know. I don't know that it will, though. And I'm not willing to take the chance of bringing life into a system that is so toxic and disgusting. I do want to say, though, when I see mothers and fathers out, out and about during their day, I'm always so impressed with y'all, to do what you have to do to take care of yourself and then to extend that energy to taking care of other little humans. I fuck with y'all. Y'all are the real MVPs. Good for y'all. Thank you for your service. Seriously, thank you. Me personally, y'all, all my energy goes to me taking care of myself, making sure I'm in a good position, making sure I'm mentally, physically, emotionally well. I'm like, how do people have more energy after that to take care of little humans? God bless y'all. I don't know. I don't know how I would be able to do it, but shout out to y'all for being able to do it. Shout out to the moms and the pops. Okay, and the last thing I want to touch on, y'all, is this problem that I'm going to just say the United States has, because I feel like some other countries are doing really good in this area. The United States has a problem with launching products before testing them. And then later on, we find out that these products are toxic, cause cancers, lead to death, and the like. Some examples of this, something so simple, y'all, baby powder. Some of our parents use baby powder to keep us dry, in our undercarriage areas. Come to find out, baby powder is now linked to causing cancer. Same thing with hair relaxers. When I was a child, our parents would relax our hair. Or when we were younger, not really a child, but when I was younger, that was something that was common. A lot of our parents used these products trusting that they were safe. We find out later that hair relaxers lead to fibroids, which Black women have a higher incidence of. Shocking, right? Surprise, surprise. Are you kidding me? Of course they would have a higher incidence. We use hair relaxers. But also cancers. And this, the list goes on, guys. I can name many things that have been put on the market without proper testing, without any care besides making money, and have led to people being hurt or scarred or maimed or killed or something like that. It truly is a mess. And America is doing it again. So they're doing this again with artificial intelligence, with AI. They have taken it to market and they haven't done the correct research or even the projections to see how this is going to negatively impact humanity and the planet. So I encourage you to do your own research if you do not know the dangers of AI. There are going to be negative environmental consequences, but also negative consequences on the mental health and physical health of Americans. Now, this is happening all over the world, but like I said, I've seen other countries do a little bit better in terms of how they roll things out, and they'll make sure they really think things through and put up some boundaries, right, to protect the people in the land. The United States has a problem with that, and I don't know why. It's kind of like the Wild Wild West mentality here, where it's just like you do whatever for money or you do whatever to survive and nothing else matters. So the issues with AI are AI uses so much energy, y'all, and so much power to process all of the data that comes in and goes out very rapidly, right? There's a lot of information moving back and forth. So data centers are built all throughout the country, and there are some serious issues with these data centers. They use up tons of electricity, and from what I'm seeing, the cost of that electricity is being passed to regular people like you and me. You know, these corporations, they get so many tax breaks, honey. Who knows how much they actually even pay for their energy. But the other issue is that because there is massive amounts of data flowing through these data centers, there needs to be something to bring a cooling to all of that energy, because that energy is creating a heat, right? So they need fresh water to cool the processors, the servers in these data centers. They are taking fresh water that people and the animals and the birds and the earth needs to thrive, to bring the cooling that's needed in those data centers. And I know for some of you listening, I notice what we do is if it's not something you're dealing with, then it's not your problem. You know what I mean? It's something at a distance. But tomorrow, a data center could be built down the block from you. And then it is your business, right? Because this is something that's going to expand. So I was watching a couple of news reports about families in these areas or people who live in the areas near the data centers. Oh my gosh, y'all. People are talking about this low-level hum that never stops, that causes anxiety, insomnia. You know, some people are feeling like it's driving them crazy, and that's coming from the data centers. This lady turned on her faucet to show the impact the data center was having on her water flow. It was trickling. It was trickling from the faucet. It reminded me of when I visited, you know, maybe Jamaica or different places, when some days the water flow would be very scanty. It wouldn't be a lot of water flow. So she went from turning on her faucet, having a strong flow of water, to now the water's trickling because the data center is siphoning a lot of the water. Not only that, during the night, they showed a clip of what it looks like at night near these data centers. This lady's house was lit up like it was daytime. So imagine, it's like now you have 24-hour sunlight. And this is taking a huge toll on people's mental and physical health. And now we don't even know really what the physical implications are going to be. Right now, we're seeing more of like the mental, emotional implications. At some point in the future, I guarantee we'll get more information about the physical implications, and I guarantee it'll be something like cancer or something like that. These data centers use millions of gallons of water a day. Okay, and again, this is fresh water that we need to live, fresh water that, our environment needs to thrive going towards these data centers. So what I try to do, y'all, is I'm not going to down AI like it's the devil and everything about it is horrible. It's really good for convenience. But how many times have we sold our souls for convenience? Right? Just to put that out there. But every time now I go to make an inquiry to a Chat GPT or a Gemini, I stop and I think, is it really necessary to do this? Because I remember how much processing power goes into me making that one inquiry. So just keep that in mind. Another issue with AI is that people with mental illness are getting sucked into these rabbit holes and experiencing psychosis and killing themselves and other people. So I recently saw a report that this young man, he started chatting, with some AI, I don't know what application it was, and became very close to this, dare I say, entity, this technology, and started telling the technology that he wanted to kill himself. And though there have been some steps taken by these different tech giants to put some safeguards in place for when people start talking about suicide and things like that, whatever it was, it didn't work. And he was like telling the technology how he was going to kill himself and this, that, and the third. And eventually he goes on to kill himself. There's other stories of someone, I think another story of a man, I don't know if he killed someone else and then himself. People, are using it to feed their psychosis. This is the problem with putting products out without proper testing, without really considering the implications, the long-term implications, the short-term implications, and allowing money to be the most important fucking thing in life, right? For these tech companies, money and progress trumps everything else. But that's our society. That's what our society is built on. Warmongers, conquerors. I have to survive. And if you have to die for me to survive, then so be it. I do want to encourage you to take some time to do some research on AI, the implications of AI, and I really want you to be mindful of data centers coming into your community. Because like I said, it's my belief that later on, it will be confirmed that living in proximity to these data centers will cause health issues, maybe irreversible health issues, okay? Today's Gorgeous Guru prompts or questions for reflection or journaling are, what's something that's really grinding your gears at this point? What's something that you would like to rant about that is absolutely getting on your nerve? I do suggest you get this stuff out of your mind by doing some journaling if you don't have someone you can talk to about them. Also, what do you do when the world is on fire to maintain your mental health, right? To maintain your balance and your zen. If you want to comment on this episode, you can do so on YouTube and Instagram at The Gorgeous Guru Podcast. I love to read and respond to your comments. Also, if you're enjoying the podcast, consider becoming a monthly supporter of the show. All of your donations are a great help. Thank you so much to those of you who have already signed up. You may sign up at thegorgeousgurupodcast.com. Thank you for joining me today. You could have spent this time doing anything, but you decided to spend it with me, and I'm grateful. I hope you'll join me next time.